Oh, that was a wonderful introduction, Margaret. Thank you so much. I am a little bit blind, so unlike most of you in the room, so I'm going to just put these on. I just wanted to say, this is thrilling. It's so wonderful to mention the awards that other films that I've worked on have won. That's a huge achievement, but today is something very special for me and for Pascaline Servan-Schreiber, who produced the movie with me, who's sitting right there. It's rare that you get an award for a movie that nobody has seen yet, and that's the situation that we're in. This movie's going to come out this spring, but it was a labor of love, and for many years, it took a bunch of years to make, and for many years, we struggled with the question of how do you make prevention sexy? Sexy is kind of a TV film word. How do you make it sexy? How do you get people to engage in the idea of preventing a disease that they don't even want to talk about? And it was an effort. You know, I come from the school of entertain people, make them laugh, take things that are either too scary or too big and kind of break them down a little bit, and that's what we tried to do in this movie. But I have to say, it's so thrilling to be here in Washington over these last couple of days, because prevention all of a sudden feels very sexy. It's amazing. It is in the national dialogue, and we're so grateful for that. You know, from Less Cancer and the event that you've put on and all of the young people that you have in the room, which is exactly who we need to be talking about, to the Cancer Prevention Caucus that we were at yesterday, to, you know, the president's and the vice president's moonshot, which is national news. It's thrilling. It is an amazing, we feel like we're at the top of the hill. You know, making documentaries is a bit of a struggle all the time. It's a struggle to get money, to find the right balance between humor and substance and everything else. But to get to the top of the hill when you feel like everybody else is there too is pretty exciting for us. So thank you so much. And, you know, we can't wait to share this film with the world. So, like most people who've spoken today, I have a personal experience with cancer, and I came into this process because of my own experience. I didn't really think about cancer until somebody told me that I had it, and I was young. I was kind of on top of the world. I'd just been nominated for an Oscar. Everything was sailing. I had 2 very healthy kids. And I felt invincible. I was not thinking about sickness. I was also leading a very happy life. I was supremely fulfilled, and I felt like there was so much in front of me, but I wasn't necessarily leading a healthy life. And I didn't realize that until I learned really what a healthy life is. I was working probably 18-hour days. I wasn't living a mindful life in terms of the food that I was eating or how much water I was drinking or how much alcohol I was drinking. I was the work hard, play hard ethos of a lot of people in my business. I wasn't looking for an outlet for stress. I didn't even think about that. I thought I was immune to it all until I wasn't. And, you know, at 38, when somebody tells you you have stage 3 breast cancer, and the most aggressive form of breast cancer that there is, that's a wake-up call. And you know, what feels like it could be the end of your life, quite literally, for me was the beginning of a whole new phase, and a wonderful phase. And this film is the first outgrowth of that. You know, when I got diagnosed, I immediately got into treatment, obviously, but then I also wanted to figure out why, how, what. You know, it's amazing. I think about this a lot. For a disease that's everywhere, the race for the cure, nobody's against fighting cancer. You know, it's something that everybody agrees on. But we know very little about the disease, or at least I did when I got it. I didn't know how I got it, why I got it. And I realized that when we talk about cancer, and there's so much goodwill and emphasis on fighting cancer, we're talking about it too late. And that is the core of the movie that we made. It's the core of all of this work, which is let's harness some of the energy that this country has, that, you know, we're now focusing on a moonshot to cure cancer, which is phenomenal. Let's harness some of that energy and broaden the idea of what a moonshot actually is. Let's not just focus on treatment. Let's not just focus on drugs and research and getting those silos together. Let's broaden the conversation to fighting this disease before it strikes. And that is ultimately the movie we made. After I was diagnosed, I was given a book that changed my life, and the book is called Anti-Cancer, A New Way of Life. And it was written by an amazing man, a neuroscientist. His name is David Servan-Schreiber. He's Pascaline's first cousin and a co-worker of Lorenzo Cohen, who you'll hear from later. And what he did was take studies from all around the world that have been in place for decades that show everything that we can do in our own bodies, within our own hands, to prevent cancer before it strikes. So it's a combination of nutrition, exercise, stress management, and toxin avoidance. And if we put all of these 4 things together, all of these lifestyle changes together, we can prevent up to 70% of cancers. Now, that is radical. When I read that, and it didn't matter for me that I read it after the fact. Like, some people have said, well, wasn't it upsetting that you know, it was too late for you? Not at all. I mean, if you go through that journey, you want it to mean something. You want it to make sense. You want it to be for something, and that's exactly what this is about. So I didn't feel like it was too late for me, because it's for people before you have cancer, and it's certainly for people who have had cancer and don't want it to come back. We have to realize the power that we have within ourselves, within the decisions that we make every day, to defeat this disease before it strikes, and then to keep it from coming back if it has already hit your life. So it all, you know, it sounds quite, you know, some people say, well, isn't that daunting? Like, you know, I have to think about cancer. I don't want to think about cancer. That's something that's going to happen down the road. And actually, it's not daunting at all. It's empowering. You know, I think we all live with some sort of fear that something might happen down the road. Everybody knows somebody who's had cancer. And the shift that happened in my life, and that we're trying, all of us collectively are trying to achieve, is, you know, we want to turn the tables on cancer. For so long, all of us have lived in fear of this disease. We want this disease to live in fear of us. Because when you think about what we can do collectively, if we change our mindset, yes, if we increase research, if people who are doing that research communicate with each other, all of that. But if we collectively could say, cancer should be afraid of us. We have more control over that disease than we ever thought possible before. Think about what that world would look like. 70% of cancers, how much money is that? How much pain is that? How much heartache is that? And how wonderful is it to live in a life without fear? And, you know, we tried to translate that all into 1 hour and 30 minutes, which is a big feat. It's why the movie took so long. And it was a wonderful experience. I also just want to acknowledge Pascaline, who made the movie with me, but also 2 people who are in the movie, which is Gabe Canales of Blue Cure and Lorenzo Cohen, who are both in the movie. And we thank you so much for all of your work. And you know, it's exciting to be to feel like you're not the underdog anymore. And again, for so many years, it was a struggle. Who wants to hear this message? I think we all know everybody wants to hear this message. The world is ready, the science is there, and the tide is tipping with this disease. And we couldn't be more honored to be a part of that. So we can't wait to share the movie with you. As Margaret said, thank you for the plug. Go to our website, please sign up, and we'll let you know where you can see it and when. It's thecwordmovie.com. And again, I just want to thank you for being here, and thank you so much for the award. We are honored.